are from the school of the hard knocks. We must not let outsiders violate our blocks. And my plot's to stick up the world and split it 50-50. Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, let's live life, and we're back. Some of the most savage moments. There's a lot of savage moments, unbelievable moments. You see what a person can do to another person, a man can do to another man, another human being, another living, breathing creature. It'll open your eyes. It'll change you. It'll change the way you move day to day. It'll change the way you sleep at night. It'll change the way you look at situations. I don't take threats back and forth lightly. Not at all. I hear it. And in the moment I hear it, I've already told myself up here what I'll do if that situation should play out. Because I've seen that situation play out. And I've seen what happens to a man with no plan. I've seen what happens when that man gets run up on and he don't know what to do. I've also seen guys be put in situations and they're unaware that they're being put in a situation, only to crash out, only to end up hurt again and again and again and again. The penitentiary is the home of violence, invisible screams. You know how they say, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, does it make a sound? That's prison. Every single day, somebody is victimized. I'd say every hour, somebody is victimized. Where I was at, it was very, very common. I remember a time when it was just men. You were defined by you, who you were. You had to stand on your 10 toes. You and only you kept you safe. Then when the gangs came into play, it gave guys that would usually just be food, guys that would usually be victims, oh, they swole up. They got a click with them now. Oh, you can't do nothing to me. Yeah, I'm hard as Play-Doh. Because he's got these clowns with him. But you remove them from the situation. And you put you and him in a room. And like I said, he's hard as Play-Doh. Take him, do whatever you want. But then you are now part of the savagery that comes with prison. Prison is a hostile, testosterone-driven nut house. No other way to put it. You're going to see, hear, witness, experience things you never dreamed were possible. Things you never dreamed would really happen. You're going to watch as somebody else goes through it. And you've got one or two choices. You could abide by the prison laws, which is mind your business. Or you can go over there and get in between what's going on. And put yourself in that man's shoes. Now, there are times when men are victimized and they didn't do nothing wrong. But a lot of times, guys put themselves in position. Or put themselves in position to get hurt. You knew better than do what you did. You've seen it. Common sense tells you, don't do that. But you did it. Now look at you. Messed all up. Might not make it. Had a release date. You'd be lucky if you lived to see it. Now you might retaliate. You'd be lucky if you're not back in front of a judge receiving a life sentence. It's just so much craziness that comes with the penal system. DOC, Department of Corrections. Got so many just different situations and savage moments and just watching guys get hurt. The backstories on them, who these people were. So today, I'm going to share some stories with y'all. Most savage moments. I don't take no pleasure in telling these type of stories. But these stories might be, it just might be, what makes one of you listen. One of you might put that down, get rid of that. Take whatever it is you got in the palm of your hand that you hustle with, get rid of that. and flip your life around before you become a story. With all that being said, you know how to seen it, you know how to lived it, so let's relive it. Got to give y'all a quick update on life. Jay, where have you been? Jay, where have you been? Jay, where have you been? Where have I been? I moved. Yes, indeed. A few years ago, I spotted this house. Wanted this house. Dreamed of one day having this house. The house became available. So I went and got the house. You're not going to believe it until I show it to you. Now, I'm not big on boasting or bragging, but I do believe in showing people what's out there, what you can obtain. I did go get the house on the lake. I did go get the house with the in-ground pool and the hot tub and the big view and all that. I did. And that's what I've been doing. In the process of moving, setting things up, resetting up the YouTube room. Now I have an entire room, big room in my house that's just for YouTubing. You walk out the door of my YouTube room and you walk into our bottom patio where the hot tub is, the lounge area is. I can show you better than I can tell you. You see that? That's beautiful. Strictly beautiful. Simply amazing. So don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. I'm an ex-con. Nothing was given to me. I came out here, I hit the ground running, and I would not take no for an answer. Do not accept no. Do not. You will go as far in life as you tell yourself you can go. You will get what you work for. You will get what you're worth. You will get what you earn. If you sit around like this, you're not going to get much. What's the best things in life are free. Your children, the time spent with loved ones. But the other things, they cost money. What you have in life is a reflection of what you do in life. Remember that. And I strongly believe that. I've been on my grind nonstop. I don't have to work. Here I am in the F-150. That's right. On the job site. That's right. Still out here getting it. This should motivate, inspire. It's not about boasting. It's not about bragging. It's about showing you that dreams do come true. And then it's out there. And if you want it, you have got to go get it. Stop waiting on somebody to give you something. Stop waiting on somebody to create you. You create you. You go get it. Now I'm going to make my video. It's a big topic. People say it doesn't exist. White bloods. Now, when I first heard of this topic at hand, and it came to my attention that there are white bloods, I had to really dig in my brain. Because in the beginning, I would tell you, no, there's not. But then as I just dug and dug and dug and tried to dig through different events, I do remember 2 different white dudes that were bloods. Today's savage story is based off of a white dude becoming a blood. The impossible. No shots fired at nobody. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking about a story that I lived through, that I've seen, that I witnessed. So before somebody jumps on their little fingers and jumps in people's comment boxes or goes to this page or anything, remember, this is about something I witnessed and nobody in particular. But I do remember 2. You got to remember, 2 out of thousands of bloods. All these different sets, I remember 2. But one guy stands out to me when it comes to his journey to become a blood. Tommy Mazzello. And real quick, rest in peace to Tommy Mazzello. He lost his life not long after he got out, trying to live up to the name he had built for himself. Tommy had a strong Italian accent, claims he was from New York, tells everybody he was from New York, but weird enough, he was arrested out in Tidewater, out towards the beach area in Virginia. Tommy came in our pod at the time. I'm in 7 building 100 pod. He comes in with a whole bunch of new intakes. This is a dude who's got a slight tan to him, And you could peep him when he walked in amongst the other guys. You could see his whole demeanor, the way he carries himself. You could tell a lot about a man in the first 30 seconds of him coming through that door with his boxes and his bags in his hands. If he's got bags, chances are he ain't been down long or he doesn't have much. But if he's got boxes in his arms or he's pushing a cart, this man's been down many years. He's acquired a lot in his bid. Tommy had a bag over his shoulder, had just gotten there from receiving. He did his rounds like anybody else. They ended up putting him in the top cell with an old dude, but he did his rounds like any other dude that comes in. Kind of, if you will, feel the water, get a feel for the room, get a feel for the guys that are in there. First person you're usually going to talk to or carry conversation with is going to be your cellmate. And from there, after you get situated, you're going to come out, you're going to stare around, you're going to look, and you're going to gravitate towards somebody. Now, there was a whole group of white dudes at this point, and this is around the time that the Aryan thing was starting to become something, which I'll say it because it's the truth. Unless things have changed, when I was in prison, it was a complete joke. Them dudes were trashed, them dudes were beat up, them dudes were bullied. They were the laughing stock of the penitentiary. They beat each other up all day. They did not defend each other. I got into it with their lead dude while the other one stood outside the cell and watched. This was their leader. And they did nothing as I drugged this dude in the cell. And when I came out the cell with this man's blood on me, they did nothing. They partied like the ocean. And I walked right by them. Dudes were flunkies. When I first seen, we'll just call him TM because that's what everybody else called him. When I first seen TM, that's kind of what I expected. Because as white dudes would come in and these Aryans were trying to grow their numbers, they would go grab the white dudes, walk up on them, approach them, offer them things, start trying to kick it with them. And the next thing you know, they'd be throwing an Aryan tattoo on him and he'd be over there kicking it with the, we're not racist, but we really are racist. Now, I'm speaking for Virginia. I'm not speaking for all states. But here, these dudes proclaim not to be racist. Let me tell you, me being a white guy, well, I get to see both sides of the spectrum. I see it from the eyes of everybody else, and then I hear things that they won't say around other guys. They made their move on TM when he came in. Dudes went up, and 4 or 5 dudes went up and started talking to him. Just a little bit later in the day, out on the yard, he's walking by himself, enjoying that fresh air that we all get for the first time when you get to prison. I see him. He's walking the track, doing laps. Got a little clear radio. That's another sign you haven't been down long. You haven't gotten a CD player. You haven't gotten a tape deck. You've got the little jail radio, or you can get that radio on receiving. He's got his little earbuds in. He's walking the track with his shirt off. Good sized dude. Not big, but not small. Athletic build. I see the Aryan dudes posted up out of bleachers. This dude does his laps. They nod at him. They say something, but he's got his earbuds in. He doesn't stop. He keeps walking. So they start walking behind him, and then one of the dudes catches up to him and stops him. He takes his earbuds out, and here he stands in the middle of a DOC, a prison, a penitentiary rec yard, talking to these Aryan dudes. That conversation didn't last long. I don't know what that conversation consisted of. I don't know what they said to him. I don't know what he said back. But whatever it was, he pretty much let it be known he wasn't going to be Aryan. These dudes turned back around and went in their direction, and he continued to walk, put his earbuds in, and kept walking. Now, his cellmate at the time was a kitchen worker, and all the kitchen workers would get up early in the morning, and at one point I was a kitchen worker, and we would leave bright and early in the morning, 3:30, 3 o'clock, and go over there and start prepping meals. So his cellmate would be gone all day long. His cellmate would be gone till 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then he would come back, and then the afternoon shift would go over there. Following day, after this evening where he's out there on the yard, that night I didn't see him talk to anybody. He sat out there and he watched TV by himself. The following evening, he's sitting in the cell, and guys do this with the new guys. You saw that man didn't have much in that bag. Couple food items. You can see the bag of coffee. Other little things. Guys are eye hustling, looking, being nosy, seeing what he's got. Dude goes to his cell, asks you for something. That's the famous thing when they show up to the cell with the cup and the spoon in it. All they need is your coffee, and they'll go get some hot water. Gives dude a shot of coffee. Dude leaves. He comes out the cell. Starts talking to this dude. That would be TM's introduction to the blood dudes. Doesn't take long, and he is pretty much another one of their flunkies. He's following these dudes around. And to us convicts, those guys have been down a long time, we see it. We know there is no possibility they're about to let that Italian dude from New York be a blood. He's wasting his time. Months and months and months he followed these dudes around. Now, to the untrained eye, it would appear that they were homeboys. Now, at the time, I was in the cell with the blood. This dude tells me the whole play when it comes to TM. They're just using dude. He gets money in. By now, a little time's passed. His commissary's stacked up. He stays on the phone. His mom, his father, his people on the streets, brothers, sisters, they love him. They take care of him. They bless him. He maxes out on commissary every week. So you would see him on just random days come out there and make these big meals, these prison pizzas and prison nachos and chili bowls and all these big meals. You're talking $30, $40 worth of commissary, boom, thrown on the table. And he would feed a whole rack of these blood dudes. Like I said, we saw it for what it was. A lot of these dudes ran store boxes. They had food or they would go borrow from somebody else. But when TM came into the picture, all that stopped. They would go to his cell and get it from him to the point that 3-4 days after commissary, he's done mealed up, fed everybody, and now he ain't got nothing. And then you see them. They make a big meal and they break him off a little piece. He feels like he's a part of the gang. He believes he's going to become blood. I know he's not going to become blood. Everybody else here knows he's not going to become blood. People have told him, you're not going to become blood. But he's so thick with them. He rolls with these dudes day in and day out and will not hear what's going on. They get into a situation with one of their own where one of theirs steals from somebody else. And this whole big ordeal is about to pop off behind it because the dude he stole from was a gang member of an opposite gang. And they had to violate this dude. So rather than violate him, they took TM. TM's bragging now about how he used to rumble. He used to box. He could do this. He could do that. TM says, let me run the fade with him. Now, that's unheard of. You're not a gang member, homeboy. You kick it with the Bloods. You're a white dude kicking it with Bloods who is all in the middle of blood business. They should have never been telling you what was going on. But guys will do what they got to do to use you. So rather than have these dudes violate this dude, TM runs up in the cell on him. Commences swinging on him. Steals off on this dude. Boom! Hits him. All in the name of trying to get down with the get down. All in the name of trying to be blood. A punch ain't do a whole lot. Put a knot on homeboy's eye. But no sooner than he caught homeboy scooped him up, picked him up. Boom! Reverse suplexed him in the floor. Rolled over on top of him. Locked his legs around him. Really knew how to fight. Pinned one of his arms down. And just commenced to knotting TM's face all up. Beating. He come out the cell. Blood coming out the corner of his mouth where his head had been pinned down. And dude had hit him and he was just leaking out of his mouth where his teeth had been cut all up into his cheeks. He punished TM in that cell. The other gang still wasn't happy with the outcome because the blood dude that stole from them just beat up a white dude. There ain't no, where's the punishment in that, right? So then they sent 3 dudes in there that would violate the dude. They got the thing off on the dude, smashed him out, kicked him out the whip. He's no longer blood. TM's now walking the yard with these dudes on the regular. Anytime, we call them powder puffs, for real. That's just, I don't know if anybody else has ever heard that term, but that was the term we used for the white dudes that got used by the Bloods, powder puffs. He's become their powder puff, their Jezel more or less, right? They walk the track, he walks the track. They don't go looking for him. He goes looking for them. He sits with them in the pod. He's like a little puppy dog. This dude just does not know when enough is enough. He's got to go outside, put his orange beanie on, and these black glasses to try to cover up these black eyes somewhere. I ain't going to say dude's name. Oh, boy, beat his face all up, right? They run into another situation. He stays trying to prove himself with a bigger white dude in our pod named Ox. He thinks he can go down there and pass the message. These dudes aren't trying to mess with Ox. Number 1, Ox has a life sentence. Number 2, Ox is a killer. Number 3, Ox is a killer. Number 4, Ox will kill you. They send TM down there. Ox done went and borrowed some money from one of the homeboys and acted stupid about paying it back. I'll get it to you when I get it to you. He's that type of dude. He's that big. So TM thinking, Well, I'm a white dude. I can go down there and holler at him. It won't be no too much aggression. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to use his white card as the reason he can go down there and holler at Ox. I watched this man leave. It's not even funny, man. Leave these group of Bloods. And there's this big window right in the corner that's all messed up inside the pod. In the wintertime, it's miserable if you sleep near that window, right? Just a big window that cranks open with these little glass slats in it. They're all in the staircase congregating, plotting about what they're going to do with this Ox situation. Can't just let it ride. Now everybody sees y'all didn't get paid. And you see TM. Once again, he'd have healed up from the last one he got, right? Poke his chest out. Constantly on the weight pit, trying to get his weight up and got a little size on him, right? He heads on down to Ox's cell. He is standing in the doorway, outside the door, talking to Ox. And all of a sudden, you see two big arms come outside the cell door, grab him, and snatch him into the cell. From there, you just hear the beating commence. That unforgettable sound of fist hitting flesh. Dude did TM beyond dirty. He didn't just beat him up. After he beat him up some more, and then beat him up some more, and beat him up some more, and then grabbed him by his pants leg and drug him out of his cell. And then there's another staircase, and drug him up underneath the stairwell, pushed him back in the corner, kicked him in his face, and went back in his cell. Now, I'm not saying these Blood dudes are soft, because that wasn't a Blood they did that to. Had they rolled down there, they're so deep, it's a no-brainer. They would have smashed Ox. But he's going to take a couple of y'all out when y'all come in this cell, right? These dudes look down as TM's taking this, as you hear him taking this beating. They look down as they watch dude drag him out the cell and prop him up underneath the staircase. And they all stood there and watched as he kicked TM in his unconscious face. That kick did more damage than most of the beating. You could see all the different knots and dents, and it's bad when you got a dent in your head that never goes away. That means something was crushed. You can see all the knots and dents on his face and just the massive amounts of damage that Ox did to him. And then he kicks the man. The man is making this gurgling, snoring noise as he lays there. And Ox just kicking. Boom! Right in his face. Paused. Looked down at them Blood dudes. And went back in the cell. Not one of them came down there to help TM. Not one of them said, hey, go down there and see if he's okay. Because in going down there, Ox can see you right out of his cell. It's right in front of his cell. He now sees that you're over here messing with this dude. This dude just came down there pressing him about some money that didn't even belong to him because he wanted to fit in. Because he wanted to be cool. More time passes, right? This time, he ends up getting locked up, going to the hole on investigation. Because it looks like he just played a 9-inning game of face versus fist. And fist definitely won. So when he comes out the hole, they put him upstairs in 300 pod. And he finagles and hollers at the sergeant. And it doesn't take long. They move him back downstairs. But this time when they move him back downstairs after the whole trip, he goes in a cell with a Blood. I've told y'all, we know he's not going to become Blood. He still doesn't get it. So he goes to this whole thing on, what's up, man? I'm trying to get down. When are y'all going to bring me home? When y'all going to bring me home? When y'all going to bring me home? I heard it. Everybody else heard it. Everybody else knew it. The plan was, the only way you can become Blood is, we're going to jump you in, but you have to win. This is 3-on-1. You have to win. If you can beat 3 of us, that's the only way we're going to let you win. We go outside and there's a corner right there. We play handball and you see all the Bloods congregating. And then you see TM come walking up with a couple of the other dudes. And they all know they have no plans of letting TM jump in the whip. He goes over in the corner. They get to talking. And it's not like a timer goes off. You're more or less just standing there when somebody swings on you. Boom! And then it starts going on and on and on and on, right? They're rumbling, and TM is actually, he's holding his own. He's using the back to his advantage so that nobody can get behind him. He'll fight, and try to move in different directions and keep the wall behind him so nobody can get to him. And then they do get the best of him, so he grabs one dude, takes him to the ground, and it's just trying to dig his elbow in this dude's face, headbutting him, doing everything he can, and he actually starts getting off on this dude. And what happened next, I could say is mind-blowing, but I've seen so much worse. The two dudes that were jumping him became a whole crowd. Rather than just the three dudes he was supposed to rumble, get off on him, when he started getting off on that blood dude and the whole yard seen him getting off on that blood dude, all the bloods that were standing there rushed him. It took a matter of maybe less than 10 seconds before I saw him unconscious for the second time. The first time being when Ox knocked out and drug him on the staircase. But within a matter of 10 seconds, he went from actually winning and taking the licks and the kicks that the dudes were giving him, the two boys that were on top of him while he was beating old boy up on the ground, to all them bloods that were standing there rushing in on him and stomping him and punching him. After they beat him up, he's laying there, and there's a section of dirt. It's like gravel, gritty dirt, sand, just dirty dirt beside the building. He's laying there face down. And as he's breathing, you can see the dust blowing out from over his nose, and you can hear the noise his nose is making as it blows out of his nose into the sand. They go to walk off, and one of the blood dudes turns around, runs, jumps up in the air, and stomps on his head. Boom! And you could hear whatever was left in the front of his face crack and break. He laid there. I've seen people get knocked out and wake up almost instantly. I've seen people get knocked out and stand straight up within 10, 15 seconds. A while went by before anybody did anything. Now, you got two gates that the guards can come on the yard from. In the summertime, they were lazy. They were not known to come outside because it's hot. They would stay in the building, stay in their offices where it had AC. Our cells didn't have AC. We had no way to escape the heat, so you might as well go outside and get some fresh air and let the sun beat on you. But a guard would be what saved him. A guard walked by the building and found TM laying on his face down in the same position, making that same gurgling noise that he was making when the boys finished him off. He radioed the code, and all of a sudden you see these guards, like I've seen so many times before, rush the yard from all different directions. Then you see the nurse coming, and they towed a board. This looks like almost like a surfboard, but it's a gurney board. And this one guard comes running with it, and he's got a nurse with him, and they run out there, and they slide him up on the gurney, and they pick him up, and they towed him up off of there. Now, I heard other guys talk about that was grimy. Man, he trusted them dudes. Man, all he wanted to do was fit in. They damn near killed him on that yard. He didn't become blood. I don't know how the guys I met prior to him, maybe it was something they did in the streets. Maybe they got brought home in the jail and the big homie being the leader was legit. But TM's day to shine never came. It's almost like some things in prison come full circle. But I talked to another dude I know that is currently locked up that will never come home. And we got to talking about the Aryans and certain dudes that I had issues with. And the name Thomas came up. And I said, no, I don't remember Thomas. He's like, yes, you do, man. You was up Greensville when the Bloods damn near killed him over beside 7 building. Thomas, I don't know no Thomas. They called him TM. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember the flunky dude. They stomped him out. Ox beat him. Yeah, but what about him? You know he became Aryan. Come again? After Greensville, he no longer wanted to be blood. He no longer liked black guys. He no longer wanted to kick it with anybody. Yeah, once he got to the next spot, homeboy became Aryan. Actually got a little rank in there. Was up here slinging them dudes around, beating a couple of them up. Scars all over his face. He became Aryan. So let me get this right. This all started off with them approaching him turning them down to go try to join what is a predominantly black gang. It is what it is. Everybody knows that. To go and try to join a predominantly black gang to get X'd out, hurt, crushed, damn near killed on the rec yard because he was getting his thing off on one of their dudes. Sent off to the hospital, spends time in the hospital, only to get to another compound and join the Aryan Brotherhood. Crazy, crazy, crazy ordeal. Now, I put this story up for a reason. The level of the beating that the man took. Not just the one from Ox, not the one he took in the cell from Old Boy, but the one they gave him on the rec yard was definitely in my, I would say, top 10 worst jumps I've seen. And with the gangs, you see people get jumped all the time. It is, I mean, like seeing a gang member and somebody fight one-on-one, it happens. I've seen it happen. But to see it consistently, that's about as rare as a unicorn landing on the rec yard and somebody getting on and riding off. They primarily do not fight one-on-one. You've got to know somebody, be cool with somebody, have some type of pull around there to get on one-on-one with a gang member. You fight one, you fight all. He went over there under the impression that he rumbles these 3 dudes. There's a chance he can win. This is going to be his ticket to becoming one of the guys that he idolized, one of the guys that he fed. He used to give these guys his phone time, dial the number, put numbers on the list, and they would use up all his phone time. They would go in his cell and just grab food like it was theirs. He went in that corner thinking that he was going to be accepted. He never went in that corner thinking that everybody out there was going to turn on him, knock him unconscious, and then stomp his unconscious body. He looked at those guys like friends. He trusted those guys. This is one of the occasions where I'm glad the guy didn't wake up. Because I've seen that look of disbelief, betrayal, hurt, pain in a man's eyes when something like that happens. We didn't have to see that look in his eyes. We all got locked down. He went off to where he went and became Aryan. But that beating was a beating he wore to the day he went home. He left the penitentiary looking completely different than he did when he came in. Not just because of the tattoos and the size he put on, but because of the scars that beating he took in that corner left on him. Mind you, now when Ox beat him, Ox left a dent in his forehead. Like, legitimately put a dent in his forehead. But them boys took him in that corner and they did more than just dent his forehead. They completely cracked him. You find yourself in a situation where you've gotten locked up. A lot of people say, man, I just stay to myself. It ain't always that easy. People will approach you. The only way you can really avoid and stay safe in prison or in jail is by not ever going to prison or jail. I tell y'all this, and I mean it when I say it. I love life. I love the fact that I can just step out of this truck. See that? Taste that air? I love life. I did not love anything about that. Those moments were terrible moments. My best days in there were terrible days because I was in there. Yeah, there was times I laughed. There was times I joked. It was my life for a decade. Life goes on. But it was 10 years I missed. 10 years I can never get back. 10 years that my son went without me. My mother aged. My siblings went on to destroy their lives. Maybe if I'd have been here, I could have stopped that. Maybe if I wouldn't have went away for 10 years, I could have made a change. But you know what, I'm going to be honest. Had I not went away, I wouldn't be making these videos. I'd be dead. That was the road I was headed down. That was the only ending for me. Luckily, and I say this and I mean this, I got locked up. Prison saved me. I became the man you see now through years and years and years of searching and soul seeking and just looking into who I was. Years and years and years of reflection. And in time, I started to hate. I started to hate the whole gangster mentality, the gangster lifestyle, everything I had been. I started to hate it. Once you hate it, you can beat it. And that is what got me up out of there in one piece, sane. That is what made me who I am today. The hatred I have for being incarcerated. the hatred I have for being surrounded by men. No privacy, noise, violence, arguing, bickering, nonstop, all day, 365. It never stops. It takes you 1 second to throw your life away. 1 second. One choice. Some guys never get their life back. They get life sentences. Some guys lose their lives while they're in there. And for some guys, it's 10, 20, 30 years go by before they see the streets again. Now, today's story was not meant to smut any gangs. I have no beefs, no quarrels, no squabbles with any type of gang members. I'm cool with everybody. I just speak on situations as an outsider looking in. I was there. I watched it. Everything I said is true. Could easily be you. You go in there thinking them of your friends. Thinking them of your homeboys. Because you fed them some food. Because you talked to them. Because you allowed them to use the phone. You'll find out real quick who your friends are. It's hard enough to make a real friend out here in the world. Because people just, they're no good no more, man. That's the sad reality. Not all people. There are some great human beings in this world. But there's a lot of bad people in this world too. In prison, you're not going to meet many good ones. Cherish your life. Live it to the fullest. Make the right choices. Do's and don'ts. Think before you act. Or you just might find yourself being somebody's story. Who knows? When you get out 20 years from now, if YouTube's around, you might be able to start a channel of your own. Or you could just live a normal life. Use your God-given talents and get out here and go get it. It's all around you. Everywhere you look, there's legal money. Go get it. But anyways, these jails, these prisons, these facilities, these rec yards, they're all just crazier world inside of a horribly crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams, Let's Live Life. And to all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. Man, y'all know how we do. Salute.